we move on from Brian Campbell, Gator, and Platinum Paspalum to the Florida Swing, the Cognizant Classic. And Jason, how many times will I tell you I'm cognizant of the fact that it's the Cognizant Classic? Guys, we're live in 30 seconds. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 woo! And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven right here on the STT Sports Network. Please, wherever you're watching, smash that like and subscribe button. Share it out. The race to 500 subscribers on the STT Sports Network. We are just over 50 away from getting there, so I'd greatly appreciate that. Subscribe from each and every one of you. It's free to do. It's free to support a local content creator, so please do that for me. And we are live, like I said, on YouTube and Twitter. But if you're watching on Twitter, I'd greatly appreciate you heading over to the YouTube page. I'm Phil Stifel. We got Steven Fuentes, Jason Sullivan, and joining us this week, my man Rashad Wright, making his first appearance this year on the show. Good evening, guys, and good evening, Rashad. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you guys. Good to be back on the show. I've been watching from afar and trying to chime in the chat, but it's good to be back on with you guys.
Well, it's great to have you back. You're a perfect guy to have on for the kickoff of the Florida Swing since you are down there in, I'm hoping, sunny Florida. You're down there, and you just said before the show started, you've played this week's PGA National course several times. So what better way to get the information on this course than somebody that's played on this course regularly? But before we do that, we do got to kick off the show talking about last week's event, the Mexico Open. Brian Campbell, Gator. Gator? I even heard the announcers say his name differently, like 4 or 5 different times. And I've heard of Paspalum greens, but I've never heard of platinum They're not just regular Paspalum; they're platinum Paspalum greens. I'm just so glad I don't have to hear that word again for a little while. So guys, Brian Campbell, out of nowhere, 31, 32-year-old guy, lost his tour card, got in, and gets his first win. Like, it's cool, it's great, but I don't know how to feel about that kind of a victory for a guy like him. Steven, thoughts on the way that tournament wrapped up last week and Brian Campbell, getting the win?
Well, I had, I'm going to pronounce it Potgeider. I had him in every single lineup of mine. I ended up betting him as well. And so I was following him all week. And when he had that round, when he had a 61 where he was getting ready to possibly break some cool records, I was like, oh wow, I'm all in on this guy. And then just how it fell apart on Sunday, I was like, oh my gosh. And just, unless you were in it for DFS play or betting play, these are those weekends where it is just a pretty bore fest, I guess, for the casual fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Rashad, any other thoughts on? I mean, I know a lot of us were big Aaron Rai guys last week. He collapsed, and the PGA Tour is struggling. Brian Campbell getting that win does not really help the PGA Tour grow at all.
So it's funny because I've always kind of looked at this as the different, and maybe it was just because I did chase golf for a long time as a professional. But I love stories like this. I didn't actually watch the tournament because I was too busy losing money on college basketball. But I love stories like this. I always say, with all the other sports, if my team is not going to win, I want the team with the longest drought to win. So, when it comes to the PGA Tour events, if it's not somebody that I bet on or have a DFS stake in, I want the longest shot possible to win because, when we go back to, and obviously when I was on the show last year, we were kind of knee deep in the live versus PGA Tour debate. The great thing that the PGA Tour has and that it seems to be moving away from is that it can kind of create its own stars. And when somebody wins, somebody can't win 12 PGA Tour tournaments until they've won their first one. So we don't really know what the future of this guy is. But the fact that he's a 30 plus year old grinder, I can relate to that. Maybe not at the level that he's at, but I love seeing stories like this, and I think that if you see more of these guys, especially when you start seeing them duel some of the stars in star-studded events. Look at what Nick Dunlap did. He was an amateur, and then all of a sudden, he starts competing in majors and he starts competing in elevated events, and then he wins another tournament at the end of the season. That's how these guys get started, and winning begets winning. So we don't really know what the future holds for this guy. He could be a star down the line. So I love it. I love this kind of story.
Absolutely. Jason, on this tournament, all week long we talked about the biggest hitters win this event, and the shortest hitter on the tour in the tournament, I think he was actually ranked out of the guys that make the cut, dead last in driving distance. That's the guy that won the course. Does that just go to show that no matter how much we think we know nothing?
Yeah, I feel like it's just educated guesses. You're trying to predict something that isn't really easy to predict. It's not LeBron James, putting up 35, DFS points every single time. It's something that the best player in the tournament could come on, play terrible. So I don't know. It's funny because we say that it was boring and everything like that. It was probably the best tournament of the entire season so far. So yeah, it was like obviously two no-name guys or two lesser known guys competing, but at the same time, like it was probably the most compelling tournament to watch this season.
Do you guys feel bad for Pot Gooder, whatever his name is, for the fact, he's a young kid. Obviously he's had a really good start to the season, obviously. And he wasn't a complete and total unknown. There were guys that were betting him and stuff like that. What do you think it's got to do, Jason, for a kid his age to be that close? And then, he obviously sees what his weaknesses are in his game and just come that close, but I don't want to say collapse, but, one or two mistakes just totally bit him in the ass. What's it going to take for him to, he obviously withdrew this week and won't be in the field this week, for him to rebound at such a young age from this?
I think it's better to have that happen when you're younger. Like we saw,
absolutely.
We saw Oberg do the same exact thing. Like, he came close so many times before he finally got over the hump. I think it would have been more crushing if we would have seen Campbell, a 32-year-old guy. This is as close as he's going to get. It kind of reminds me of like back in the day when Kuchar almost beat Spieth in that Open tournament where it's like, that was your chance and you're probably never going to get another chance again. So I think him being so young, he'll be back. He looks like he's a stud. He crushes the ball off the tee. So he'll be back.
Rashad, you probably never hit the ball like Geeter did off the tee, did you?
No. Usually, only if I hit the car path a few times. I'm actually closer to the Brian Campbell, where I was the short guy, and then I had to require the mid to long irons to work for me to be able to score, which is why I'm talking to you guys and not playing this week.
No, honestly though, when you're out driving Rory McIlroy on average on a given season, that says something about your ability to hit the ball off the tee right there. Steven, what made you get behind Pot Geeter to begin the week? Was it because of the driving distance and stuff like that?
Literally just that. So he was my one guy that I was like, driving distance, let me go with him, long shot sort of deal. But as I was talking about earlier about how, no names for a guy of his age, he was getting ready to break a record of a round of 60 on the Korn Ferry Tour and then a round of 60 on the PGA Tour. So that's got to do something for the confidence to almost, to be able to do something like that. And then he did outplay Jaeger, Akshay, some other guys who are tiers above him. So, those are the sort of things that at least he can take away on these sort of weekends when he falls apart on Sunday.
Don't forget Aaron Rye's name there. He took down Aaron Rye too. Okay.
Yeah, Aaron Rye.
Don't forget about Aaron Rye. All right. Well, that Mexico Open is over, and we now move on to the Florida Swing. The next 4 weeks in Florida here, and we start here at PGA National at the Cognizant Classic, the former Honda Classic, and where we go from a course that everything said driving distance. We're going to a course in Florida here where it's accuracy, it's hit the fairway, it's short hitters have no problem winning at events like this. Rashad, you've played this course, PGA National, several times, down there in Palm Beach, Florida. What can you say right off the bat about this course?
It's the consummate grinders golf course. I'm a grind style player. I don't make a lot of birdies. I've played a few tournaments on this golf course on mini tours, and I mean, all you can say is that it just beats you to death. The first 4 holes kind of lull you into a false sense of security. 1 is a short par 4. 2 is not terribly difficult other than off the tee. 3 is a par 5, and then 4 is a short par 4. And then after that, it just, next thing you know, you're even through 4 holes, and you're like, okay, this is not a bad, it's typical Florida golf course. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 just beat you to death. And the bear trap gets all of the hype as being the toughest 3 holes on the golf course. But 6 is a converted par 5 into a par 4 where you have no room to miss off the tee. You're gonna have a super long iron into the green, and then 7's a tough par 3, and then 8's a tough tee shot par 4. And then the back 9 kind of speaks for itself. It's just, it's just one of those where, you play golf courses and there's always holes where you feel like, okay, this is my break. This is where I can kind of relax. I can, I'm not going to be in trouble on this hole. And I can kind of get an easy par or a birdie and get out of here and move on. PGA National just doesn't really have any of those holes. So every hole, you just feel like, okay, I can't miss here. Okay, the next I can't miss here, and you just feel like that for 18 holes. And when you get off the golf course, you just feel like it feels like a workout, honestly.
Right. This tournament has always been known as a tournament with a grinders type score, lower scoring event. But yeah, then last year we saw Alex Smalley put 17 under to win the event. Is this going to be was that an anomaly, or is it going to go back to where it's going to be a tough sledding to score? I know the weather is supposed to be pretty solid this week, for Florida weather at this time of the year.
It's not a long golf course, so it's all going to be about the wind. If there's no wind or if it's soft conditions, and you're going to see what you saw the last couple of years. I think it rained pretty heavily last night there. I don't know if that will persist into soft conditions or not by Thursday, but yeah, like I said, one of the things that when I played it, I've never played it with less than 25 mile an hour sustained winds. So that also plays into why it plays so difficult. And, and when you're looking at water hazards on both sides of the fairway on a lot of holes, obviously the par 3s kind of speak for themselves. Wind plays a big factor. And if it's not windy, then yeah, you're going to see some fairly low scores because it's not a long golf course by any stretch. But if the wind is picking up, that's where you're going to see the guys, which is why I think you see a lot of European Tour players, DP World Tour players perform well at this golf course because they're used to kind of those conditions and know how to handle them.
Yep. Jason, what else do you got on this course and what you're thinking about on this course right now?
I mean, that's a great breakdown, obviously. The first thing I think of this course is just water. I mean, I don't know if there's a course that has more water on it than this one, but I doubt it. Water on 15 holes, 60 bunkers. I mean, there's a lot of trouble on this course. And like Rashad was saying, like this is not a get right spot. Like if you're coming in and your game's a little bit off and your driving's a little bit off, which is a little misleading. I think everybody's so worried about, accuracy and driving off the tee. It's a club down course. You're going to see a lot of these guys club down. And I think if you're off, you're not going to get right this week. But having said that, I feel like 16, 17 under, I think probably gets it done this week.
You say that, driving distance doesn't matter, but, an accuracy does off the tee. And obviously it does because you're clubbing down. Something that I always bring up, and I don't know if it's valid or not. I've always gotten mixed reactions when I say this. Driving at distance matters on courses like this because you're clubbing down off the tee, which means you're going to have a long iron. You're going to be hitting 150, 175, 200 yards second shots a lot. And the difference between someone hitting a 5 iron or an 8 iron from 200 yards, does play into a fact when you're talking about driving distance. That typically translates to the irons as well. I don't know. I see Rashad, you shaking your head. Yes. Do you agree with that philosophy a little bit?
100%. It's driving distance always matters. Not so much because you're going to be hitting driver on every hole, but because, again, you look at somebody like Cam Young, who is a long hitter, might be hitting driving iron off the tee, whereas somebody like Denny McCarthy, who doesn't drive the ball long, will be hitting drivers. And obviously, doesn't matter if it's you, me, or those guys, you're more accurate with an iron in your hand than you are with a driver in your hand. So the ability to be able to hit those same, hit lesser clubs the same distance, and like you said, having a shorter iron, even if it's the same yardage from 175, being able to hit an 8 iron as opposed to hitting a 5 iron makes a big difference in terms of your accuracy and your proximity to the hole, which is obviously what leads to the most birdies. So yeah, absolutely. Driving distance does matter, even if it's not a driver heavy golf course like this one.
Gotcha. Steve, do you have anything else to add to the course itself and what you'll be looking at, in the golfers we talk about here in a moment?
Very similar to everyone else, but also I'm going to be looking for golfers who tend to play it safe than risk takers, just because of what Jason and Rashad have been talking about, all the hazards, and wind is going to play a factor. So just golfers who are playing it safe know their game and are sticking to their game, not like what Jason said, a get right. This is not a get right sort of week to try and find your game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's start taking a look at the field. Obviously, there's only two names priced above 10K this week. That being Russell Henley at 10.7 and Shane Lowry at 10.5. We've already heard somebody say those European guys succeed in these kind of courses. That's Shane Lowry. Russell Henley, while isn't perfect at this point, has had great success over the years at this course in the past. So we'll start with the guest. Rashad, thoughts on Henley and Lowry, and do you like one more than the other betting-wise or DFS-wise this week?
I love both of them, first of all. I have them both starred. They were both two players that I looked at immediately because Henley, I remember using Henley my first year doing DFS, which was 2021, and he finished, I believe, in the top 15 that year. And I know he's had success at this event. Shane Lowry was my one and done pick at this tournament the last 2 years, and is a short list candidate for it again this year. Obviously, he should have run away with this tournament last year if he could even find the putter on day 4. I mean, he had so many chances, birdie chances on Sunday last year, and I just remember watching them all just miss the hole, terribly in some cases. Again, Shane Lowry is a South Florida guy, so this is a home game for him. I love both of them. Obviously, if I had to go off of who has given me more success over the years, I'd probably have to go with Lowry. But it just seems like a good spot for Russell Henley. He's been playing really well over the last couple of years, and I just feel like this seems like a breakout moment for him. And he seems to have them every 4 or 5 years, and this seems like the spot where it wouldn't surprise me at all if he won this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, any thoughts on those two guys to add?
No, I agree with what Rashad said. I think the one thing with Henley, and this is not something that's quantifiable at all, is like whenever you think he's in the right spot and this is the perfect fit for him and he's really highly owned, that's when he burns you. And I have a weird thing with Henley. I always thought Henley and Kevin now were always my guys that, like, if they're ever chalk, I cannot play them. But it's hard to argue against either one. I mean, they both have good course history. They both seem like their game fits perfect. I think the one thing, it's hard because there's only two guys above 10K, but I feel like, can either one of them get over the hump? We've seen both of them get close, but it's like neither one of them are killers. Like, can they really either one of them win? So
yeah, I guess so. Steve, I mean, I'm looking at the ownership projections right now, and sometimes we make cases to fade or stay away from those top guys. But when Daniel Berger and Sepp Straka are probably the most two popular guys this week in the 9K. And then when we get to it, I'll talk about how much I love the 7K down at the bottom. You can make a case to make sure you're prioritizing both these guys. Maybe not to win, like Jason says. There's some doubt that they can win this event, but prioritizing these two guys and dipping down to the 7K could be a good place to start building lineups, right?
You can play both too. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I already built a test lineup with both of them in it. Yeah. So,
and then even with where Lowry's at, you're going to be able to, what's it called, for his ownership, where it's probably at. A lot of people are going to jump right to Berger and skip over the 10K range because of it, there only being two in the names. They're going to, go a different strategy. I feel like a lot of people, and I feel like Shane Lowry is going to be the person that is low ownership when it comes to the two guys up top between him and Henley.
Absolutely. I agree. All right. Then you dip into 9K. And like I said, I mentioned Daniel Berger. He's like probably the most popular pick. Obviously, before his injury, had a lot of success at this course. And again, seems like a good course fit anyway. A lot of people talking Sepp Straka this week, but you also got a lot of other great names in this range. And Steve, why don't you start with you since you were just talking there? Are there names you like? Because I got one name in this range that I'm really zoning in
on. Denny. I like Denny McCarthy out of the other names. T5 and T16. I feel like he's gotten really good approach at this course, and he is, I feel like, going to be the guy who's overlooked compared to the other guys. And then Minwoo Lee as well. I like Minwoo. Is just current form, course history as well. So other than the other two guys, those who I'm looking for.
Jason, can you justify the ownership percentage on Daniel Berger when Lowry or Henley are less, or there's other guys that are less?
To me, no. I mean, he's been better the past 2 tournaments for sure. He's been good. He has good course history here. We know that. But I think he's going to get to 30% this week, and I don't know if I can stomach 30% ownership for him. I like Straka the best too, which he's going to be highly owned as well, which is a little worrisome. But the thing about Denny, to kind of piggyback off what Steve said, is he's been different. His iron game has really, really improved. And if his iron game, his putter stays where it is and his iron game picks up like it has been, he's going to win soon. So I like McCarthy too. McCarthy and Straka are probably my favorites.
Okay, good. Still clear. Before I get your names in this range, Rashad, I want to ask you more of a gambling question.
Sure.
I think someone like Daniel Berger, I got him at 28-1 to win the event. I had a 10% boost on Fanatic Sportsbook. I think Daniel Berger is a more viable bet than a DFS play. He might win this event. He also might finish 30th, which wouldn't justify, the 30% ownership. Do you agree with that theory?
I do. I absolutely. And I'm actually on the same page with you. The odds on Hard Rock were, I think, 20 when I looked at it. So I kind of parlayed it with a college baseball bet to kind of boost the odds a little bit. But I felt the same way.
You're an animal.
Hey,
what a sicko!
You gotta do what you gotta do. We have one legal sports book in Florida.
Did you bet the Philly Catholic High School championship game as well?
No,
I mean, you're betting everything down there.
No. But no, I absolutely agree with that. I feel the same way. Berger is one of those guys that it's a tailor-made spot for him. I remember I faded him the year that he went. Had the 5-shot lead going into the last round. I think it was 3 years ago. And then I needed him to fall apart, and he did. But yeah, I mean, as much as I would root for him to come through this week, I at 20, not, like you said, 30%, it just doesn't make sense to me when his range of outcomes is still pretty high. I think what he did at Waste Management kind of boosted that a little bit, but I don't think, have you even seen him since? So I don't know that I could go there with him. I would much rather bet.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to throw one more name into this 9K range, guys, and that's Keith Mitchell. I think he's a good course fit. 5th tee to green on tour this year. Better than average putter this year. Got a great track record here. A couple top 10s dating back to 2019 here. It's another name I'm looking at if you're looking for a slightly less owned guy. But I kind of feel like you could, in theory, just skip this whole range if you play Lowry and Henley.
You can, yeah.
And I mean, leading into the next range, the 8K range, you could, in theory, skip the 8K range as well, right?
Yes.
Jason?
The 8K is so bad. It's so bad.
So bad. They got so many mispriced people in this 8K range.
So I spent a lot of today trying to talk myself into anybody in the 8Ks. Novak's my favorite by far, and I think he's the best player in the 8K, which is funny because
absolutely agree with you.
8K flat. Grayserman's interesting to me. I feel like, first of all, this is a home course for him too. So he lives right by there. This is literally his home course. He just hasn't been as good lately, but the dude can putt. If he can get his irons going at all, I like Grayserman a little bit this week. I just don't like the price tag. So Novak for sure, and then Grayserman, I think, for me.
All right. I'm gonna name a name before anybody else here. I'm gonna say, and this is not a slam dunk.
Don't do it.
I'm doing it. This is a place and a spot to play 4% owned Jordan Spieth.
No.
8,600.
Oh.
He finished 4th at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. He missed the cut the following week, but it was bad weather. It's going to be in the mid to upper 70s all week in Florida. Guy doesn't hit it a ton. He makes like next to no bogeys when he's out there playing and he's healthy. A 4% Jordan Spieth paired with, say, Shane Lowry can win you a GPP this week.
Somebody said, I don't know who it was, but somebody said on their podcast, I wish I could give credit, but I can't. You can hit the ball out of the desert if you're Spieth, but you cannot hit the ball out of the water.
Yeah,
he's going to be all over the water this week.
I don't know. I'm
bring
feeling
new goggles.
One lineup will have Jordan Spieth. Hell, maybe the lineup I picked tonight on this show will have Jordan Spieth on it. I don't know, maybe. And guys, if you're watching this, we do have a DraftKings lineup contest. A few people join it every week, whatever. See if you can beat the lineups built by Steve, Jason. I think Rashad's been in it once or twice. It's linked in the description if you're watching on Twitter. I shared out on Twitter as well on the Twitter page. So, guys, make sure you join that. 20 people, $3 to enter. Top 3 get paid. Rashad, any names here then in the 8K not named Jordan Spieth that you like?
Well, it's funny that you said that because Jordan Spieth was actually my first click.
There you go. I love it.
And it's for no other reason. He did model out well for me. But the other reason,
he modeled terribly for me.
4.2%. That's always the DFS mantra is you play Jordan Spieth when he's low owned, because it's you jump on the roller coaster, and if the roller coaster takes you to the top, then you're there with nobody else, and that's the time you play Jordan Spieth. My name is probably going to be equally as controversial, and it's sometimes the week of the tournament, and you look at the board, and you look at the course, and you look at the model, and a name just pops out to you like, yeah, I got a really good feeling about this guy, and that guy for me, laugh even saying it, is Cam Young. And
that's my reaction to Cam Young, the way Jason reacted to Jordan Spieth.
I'd rather play Cam Young than Jordan Spieth.
No, Cam Young still hasn't even won a tournament yet. Come on.
I don't know.
He hasn't, but he's performed well at this golf course. He's a long hitter that can control it. Even as bad as he's looked the last year and a half, he still looked good here. And to me, if you've got good vibes at PGA National, then you know what, I can't help. I mean, when I was thinking of one and done plays, it was honestly the first thought I had was this might be.
I mean, Jordan Spieth's 4.3 projected ownership right now. Cam Young's only 5.5 projection. Yeah. So man, you can go with either of those and set yourself apart from every other lineup.
The only thing about Cam Young that worries me a lot is his iron game. I think he's lost strokes with his irons. I think it's unapproached 6 weeks in a row, or 5 or 6 weeks in a row. Not great. Steven,
you got any names in the 8K range that you like?
I think the last time too that you went with Spieth and he finished in the top 10 was when Elise was the last guest, and he played well, and we were all like, "What?" So you never know. You might be onto something here. When a guest is on, play Spieth, right?
Yeah, there we go.
The only other name, I think Novak's going to be the chalky name in this range, but the only other name I got is Michael Kim. And that's just because of current form and how he's been playing. And if his putter, if he can putt well, if the weather's going to be nice, he can get pretty streaky. So that would be the only other name.
Does it worry you with Michael Kim at all that he's never really played well in Florida ever?
No, Michael Kim's another one of those outright bets for me that I'm not playing.
It would just be a current form sort of player. I'm with Phil where I'm pretty much skipping the whole entire 8K range, and if I do play anyone, I go straight to the bottom with Novak.
You know what's funny, and I want to bring up one other thing about this 8K range, because we talked about this either last week or 2 weeks ago. The model darling. Sometimes people focus way too much on the model, and again this week, because he's a model darling, in the 8K is Kurt Kitayama, but yet nobody has any is there an actual golf tout out there that picks these things that actually thinks Kurt Kitayama is a good play this week? Because he's second in my model or in the top 5 every single week. He's second this week. And I never use him.
I've used him so much this year. And I have tried and tried and tried to back him. And every time I do, he plays well one round and then completely just craps the bed. And I don't know why. So many weeks he has been high in people's models. And he still gets put.
It's almost
put up there, but
with Kurt Kitayama, it's almost gotten to the point now where I just don't even see his name on the list. Because it's always in the top 10, and it's funny because if I play him, he's going to miss the cut by 5 shots, and if I don't play him, he's going to finish in the top 5. So it's just one of those where he's almost an auto fade for me, and if he beats me, he beats me, but. I just, it's just, I want to say he's been in the top 10 of my model almost every week that he's played for the last year and a half since he won Bay Hill, basically.
Yeah. All right, let's get into 7K because we've all hyped up this 7K. And I want to start out with a name because I mentioned earlier that I think they got a lot of pricing wrong. This is obviously not a very strong field. I mean, it's a good field, but strong, not strong. 5 top 25 guys, only 10 or 15 top 50 guys. but there's a guy that's ranked 20th in the official world golf rankings, and he's all the way down to 7,900 on this board. And I mean, he's, had great success here. He's, finished 9th. He's finished 16th. Hasn't had a great start to the year, but he's still the 20th ranked golfer in the world, and that's Billy Horschel. And to me, it's mind-boggling that he's at 7,900 and not 8,500. You got Jordan Spieth at 8,600, Cam Young at 8,800, Billy Horschel at 7,900. And he's had lots of great success in Florida. He's a plotter kind of guy. Jason, you're shaking your head. Yes. Do you agree that he's at the very least he's mispriced here?
You didn't even say who your guy was, did you?
Yeah, I said Billy Horschel.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the lead up was still coming. No, I agree.
Yeah.
He's not in great form, which is fine. He never really is in great form until they get to Florida, which I was looking at the past few years, and it's like kind of always stumbles through the beginning of the tournament or the calendar year, and then gets hot in Florida. So I love the play too. I was shocked to see 12-13% ownership for him. I thought he would be way higher.
And it still might go up because I'm sure I'm not the only one that realizes Billy Horschel's a top tier golfer in this field, and he's priced. He's like what's 7,900? That's like what, the 30th priced guy in this field this week. 20th.
The guy we were just talking about, Kitayama. Like, how is Horschel $400 cheaper than Kitayama?
Yeah, it makes no sense. Steven, where are you going? We love this range. Top player too in this range that you love.
My top player that I love is Lucas Glover. I think he's a gritty grinder sort of golfer, and this course fits him. And then if I'm going like away from the chalk and how the model is and in course history, I just think the layout of the course, I like Brian Harman as a guy in the 7K range to go with. So those two for me.
Gotcha. I love Lucas Glover. He's 5 of the last 6 cuts here. He's had some great finishes. Definitely a strong play right there. Rashad, where are you looking at in this range?
I like both of those names. I'm actually really surprised at not only Harmon's price, but his ownership. I know he hasn't been great for a little while, but I was kind of surprised to see that one. I've got 3 names there. I'm looking at the ownership board. There are 3 names in a row, and they all speak out to me, which is Taylor Moore, Gary Woodland, and Johnny Vegas. And Woodland and Vegas always kind of seem to perform well here. Vegas got a win in the last year. Woodland has been a pretty steady performer. I know everybody was playing him on the West Coast swing every week. Seemingly he was close to 20%, but I feel like this is a good spot for him. Taylor Moore, I believe he won Valspar, which is, not that dissimilar, even though the layouts of the courses are different. It's a similar style of golf. Where you have to kind of keep it in front of you and rely on your mid to long irons and putt well. And I feel like Taylor Moore is a good play at 7,600 also. And I'm looking at his ownership and it's pretty low too.
Jason, I'm going to let you comment on him, commenting on Gary Woodland, because we've already had this Gary Woodland discussion like 16 times this season on this show.
I just can't play Gary Woodland.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not.
I completely agree with your other 2 calls. Vegas just always seems to play well in this kind of course, and here especially. And then Taylor Moore just seems – I think I said this last week about Taylor Moore, and he really didn't play that well, but he just seems better than everybody around him in this range. Like, he's a talented golfer, so I like Taylor Moore a lot this week too.
What else you got in this range? 'Cause a couple names that are still hanging off the board here that I think
I'm going to give you
are solid plays.
2 sleepers. Christian Bezuidenhout, your favorite guy. Yeah, I like him a lot this week as like a little bit of a sleeper. I think he's going to be pretty low owned. I like that a lot, and I like Seamus Power too. I think he's like a guy that I think he gets like tabbed like an easy course guy, but he's also pretty good on tough courses too. So I like Seamus Power and Seabez are my 2 sleepers. Gotcha.
I like the Seabez one for sure. I'm going to throw a couple more names down here to you. JJ Spawn. Yeah. We didn't mention Lee Hodges, Sam Ryder, Luke Clanton.
Kirk is too.
Yeah. How about
Eric
Luke Clanton?
Cole. I like Eric Cole in this range too.
What about Luke Clanton on a course like this week? Maybe I don't know. But one other name had great success. Hasn't missed a cut yet this year. If I'm going to play Jordan Spieth, do I also play Ricky Fowler too? The guy I put in the picture because he's one of the most famous guys. I mean, he's having all this success on TGL all of a sudden. He's getting all this fame and fortune from TGL. And again, he hasn't missed a cut this year. So you've got that going, 39th at the Genesis, so 21st at the Amex.
You could have given me 20 guesses, and I would not have guessed that you were going to say Fowler right there.
Ricky Fowler's won this event in the past when it was called the Honda.
When he was good at golf, maybe. Yeah,
he was good at golf at that point. But,
I was going to say, I'd probably throw out the caveat. Didn't he withdraw from the Waste Management after he was going to shoot like $1 million the first day?
Smart.
Maybe.
And they said he got sick.
I think he got sick.
Yeah.
You know, he drank one too many beers with the fans and got sick. Yeah, but that they're the names. The names, like I said, I like Horschel, I like Spawn, I like Glover, I like Hodges. They're the names there that I am most in love with in the 7K range. All right, how about the 6K range? I kind of feel like the 6K range has one, maybe two really playable names, and there's a lot of dread down there. But you can kind of pull somebody like an Andrew Putnam out, Steven, or somebody else maybe that's worth a play.
Steven.
You know the guy to my heart. I love Putnam. I don't know. There's something about his putting, his guys from 150 to 200 who can get in range, hit the green from that range. He's one of those guys who are just consistently there. He is who I'm the only guy probably in the 6K range that I've even given a look at. Gotcha.
Jason, do you have any guys down here?
I have two.
Okay.
One makes sense, and the other one's going to make you throw up. So Adam Svensson, I feel like this could be a good course for him. I think he's a good long iron player, so I like him a lot. And the other one, if you want a made cut, Zach Johnson.
Yeah, I had him start too.
Cool.
There you go.
I don't know if I've ever played him in DFS before, but
yeah, I don't know if I ever have either.
He's a short
4 years ago.
Was there even golf DFS 8 years ago? Because I don't even. I know I wasn't playing 8 years ago.
Right before my kid was born, so definitely.
He makes the cut at the Amex every year. I always play him. He's a surefire play at the Amex.
Gotcha. Rashad, what do you got down here?
So just scrolling through, I love the Svensson call. I had him start. Putnam is a great play. I'm looking at Mac Meisner. That seems like a good one. Anton Rosner, I've heard mentioned a few times. Listening to content. Norlander
Rosner this week.
Well, for me, Webb. Then it starts to get kind of murky down at the bottom here. Molinari, I've heard mentioned a bunch. I love Griot. He worked out well for me a couple weeks ago when I played him. After that, it gets real murky down at the bottom here.
I want to ask you guys about a guy because I think he landed on one of the top 10 most tipped charts this week, and he's down here in the 6K range, and that's Matteo Monacero. Did I see his name as one of the top bet guys this week? And I'm not sure why. He finished 99th in my model this week. He really doesn't, even when I broke him down, I didn't really see much that told me he'd be a fit. But everyone's jumping on his number and betting him this week.
Good course history in like 2013 and 14. I think.
Exactly.
It might not even be that far back, but it was a long time ago he played well here.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I don't know.
How about Carson Young?
Carson Young? Is Carson Young better than Cam Young? He might be better than Cam Young.
I'll never play Carson Young again, ever.
Yeah, I got scar tissue on that one.
Here, over under, set the betting line that Carson Young wins an event before Cam Young. Can someone set the betting line on me for that one?
I'd go minus 115 because he's going to probably play Punta Cana and Puerto Rico, whereas Cam Young won't.
There you go. He'll be exempt from all the signature events before Cam.
I was going to say Carson knows where he stands, whereas Cam Young thinks he's like one of the elite players. So
right,
there you go. All right, so where do we stand with DFS lineups and one and dones on this show? Jason, give us the updates here.
Steve is winning the DFS contest. He's
of course he
3. Is. You're at 2, and I'm at 1. The guests have not won. And then do you have the graphic for one and done?
I did not queue up the graphics. Sorry. I got like 19 tabs open on my screen right now. So even if I did, I don't think I could find it.
Steve's leading the one and done. I don't know who invited this guy, but
yeah, I know. Dude, first year as part of the crew, and you're just crushing us on everything.
Which means I'll probably fade. I'll probably start to fade out now here. Once we get into the majors and everything, that's where you guys will start to kick my ass.
All right, so I get to choose the order of the DFS, right?
Yes, correct.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm writing it down here. Okay, we're gonna put this person first. We're gonna put this person second. this person third. I am going to go fourth. Okay. We're going to go Rashad first, Jason second, Steve third. I will go fourth. So Rashad, you remember the rules. No dupes. Everybody picks individualized lineups here, and we put it in a lineup and we see who wins. So Rashad, you get the first pick.
All right. I'll bite the chalk and I'll go Russell Henley.
Russell Henley right off the bat. Gotcha.
Russell Henley, like it.
All right. Jason, you get to go next.
I'm gonna go Shane Lowry. Bite the chalk again.
Take the two top guys right off the bat. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
All right. I will then go. I'm gonna go Straka.
Straka right off the bat. Gotcha. That's beautiful. I love the way that played out. That's exactly why I did that the way I did that right there. So I'm super, super happy with that. So I'm going to go Keith Mitchell, and I am going to go Billy Horschel as my first two picks right there.
Keith Mitchell was your big build-up?
No, actually, I was hoping for Shane Lowry, honestly, but Mitchell it is.
I'm just kidding.
I was hoping for Lowry, but I'm going to go Mitchell. Actually, I wanted to make sure I got Horschel. That's where I wanted to go.
I'm just kidding with you.
It's okay. You can hate me all you want. You can hate me all you want, Jason. It's all right.
I'm going Lucas Glover.
Glove.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go Novak. Easy pick.
Novak, nice. Easy pick. All right, now Rashad, you get to take two.
I'm on the wraparound. I'm going to go Cam Young.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, this is
yeah, it's a tough one.
He's walking his talk.
This is so much harder with four guys versus three or two. It's so much more difficult to plan this out.
Rashad's going to take every guy that's going to finish in the top 10 but not win. I like it.
Well, the last time I did that, I think the first time I did this last year, I ended up going 1 of 6. So you guys might be safe. I'm going to go with my second. I'm going to go with Doug Gim, 7,200.
Doug Gim. We didn't mention him, but he is starred on my list as a potential play. So I like.
What makes you like Doug Gim this week? I just want to. Because I was looking at him earlier too. So
course history, he's a plotter. He always plays well at tournaments like the Players, where it's kind of distance is not really a big deal, but control is, and he seems to play well at events like this. So
because I've been thinking about him too. So
and sub 6% ownership helps as well.
If he could putt even a little bit, that would be great. I think he lost 10 strokes with the putter a couple.
There was a little stretch last year where he got really, really hot and was finishing. I think it was at the start of last year, was it? Or is it the end of last year that he had a stretch of a bunch of top 20s and stuff like that?
Yeah.
He's a great showdown guy, too.
Who are you going with?
Jake Knapp. I think he's underpriced.
The Napster.
Yeah.
Why did I actually write Napster down when I was tracking it right there? I don't know. Why didn't I actually write his name? I actually wrote Napster down. Oops. All right.
Good old days.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go Harmon. Brian Harmon.
Brian Harmon. Okay. All right. Well, you took Novak, which was going to be my next pick, but I'm not. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to take George Spieth with my first pick here on this wraparound. Just going to go for it. Why not?
You might.
I got to see who else has been taken here. There's too many names. Have I written?
Will's trying to get the 1 of 6 lineup this week.
No.
I'm just kidding.
It's good. It's going to be a 6,000 point lineup right here. JJ Spawn is my next pick. Spawn and Spieth. Right there.
Wow, what picks? All right. Let's go Minwoo Lee.
I like that pick. It's a good pick.
Minwoo Lee. Woo!
All right, I'm gonna go Ryan Gerard.
He was my one and done. Was he my one and done last week? I think. I know my one and done made the cut. No, Grayson Sig.
Sig, yeah.
Gracie has Sig, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to go Chris Kirk, 2023 champ. And I'm going to follow that up with, where is he? Nikolai Højgaard at 7,400.
Nice.
Højgaard. Okay. All right. I like it.
Wait, what was the first one? Sorry.
Chris Kirk.
Yeah.
Chris Kirk, yeah. All right. I'm going to get a little wild here, I think. I'm going to go Sung J M.
Sung J M.
Oh, man.
Kind of boring with Sung J M.
Me.
Sung J M's a boring golfer. Sorry. I hate to say it.
Him is my Russell Henley. Like every time I think that it's a great spot for him, he misses the cut. And so I
just like the low ownership compared to everybody around him.
No, I agree.
I'm gonna go with Denny McCarthy.
Denny McCarthy. All right, I'm trying to check something on my second pick. My first pick is going to be Davis
I don't
Thompson.
know if you guys saw that, but I just got dunked on with a mini ball.
All right, I'm really trying to pull out all the stops here.
Dang it!
So I already put Jordan Spieth in my lineup, so I'm going to go Ricky Fowler as well.
Oh
with
my
Davis
God.
Thompson.
What was it? Davis Thompson?
Yes.
Hey, at least
So yes, I just built a lineup with Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth in it. Yes. 2016 just called and said this is a great lineup in 2016.
All right.
I do like Davis Thompson. I know he only played here once, didn't have a great finish. But the guy's a really good golfer, and he's a much different golfer now. So I do like Davis Thompson this week. So
you know what? Just because we said his name earlier, I'm going to go my last pick. Let's go with Zach Johnson.
CJ, I like it.
Wow. We're pulling out all the stops from 2018, 2016, 1997. Next thing you know, someone's going to say Ernie Els' name here or something like that.
We're going to be off the air next week. I'm going to go with our boy Rob's, Sam Ryder. Ryder
on the Storm.
Yeah. Ryder, I hardly know her.
Sam Ryder on the Storm.
I am $100 short of being able to take Grazerman, which would have been awesome. I am going to go with, you know what? I'll just go ahead and round out the defending champion with Austin Eckroat at 81.
Gotcha.
He's probably going to win or miss the cut. So
yeah,
I better hit lock into this lineup before I change my mind. Man. All right, so what does everybody got bet-wise so far this week? I got Berger and Lowry. I did bet Thompson, Gracerman. I did bet Luke Clanton 50-1 and Michael Kim. They were my bets, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Kim is going to be my one and done this week as well.
Michael Kim?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Steve, after you, my friend.
My one and done. I'm going to go with Berger.
Daniel Berger.
Saving Daniel Berger for a major. I don't know why. Yeah, what was that?
Just got the money.
A major Berger.
We just got a major money shot from Steven there. You know,
I'm gonna take Berger and then I
moved the wrong thing.
Yeah, you moved the wrong thing, or maybe you moved the right thing. I don't know.
Whoa.
Hey,
you thought he was I'm gonna go Lowry as my one and done.
Lowry. I mean, I know you're not in the one and done, Rashad, but you said you are in a one and done right now.
I'm in the Rick Run Good one and the Mayo one. I think I put Cam Young as my initial pick for the Mayo one. I haven't done the Rick Run one yet. I'm probably gonna go Henry or Lowry. Lowry's been safe for me lately. I was actually really planning on using Rory because I thought he was going to enter it this year and he didn't. So, but now I'm thinking about it, I might actually use Spieth because with him modeling well and the
don't get sucked in.
Spot.
I might throw an extra bet on Jordan Spieth. So why not?
He's only like 40-1.
Well, there's some good boosts. I told you, man. The Fanatics Sportsbook gives you a 20% and a 10% boost every single week on golfers. I've only used the 20. I got a 10% boost sitting out there still. So maybe I'll take it.
I don't have that luxury. I'll have to parlay him with some high school lacrosse or something.
I tried to parlay it with Devin Prep over, Roman Catholic in the semis of the Catholic League, but Devin Prep let me down as always. So, did you guys got any bets that you want to talk about? I mean, I gave out all my bets, but is there any bets, Rashad, that you got that you really like this week?
I other than the golfers that we've already talked about, I haven't laid any bets yet other than the Berger one we talked about earlier. I usually set my card. The way I always kind of do my bets is I do single entry DraftKings every week. So the 6 golfers in my DraftKings lineup, I bet those. And then I kind of leave 2 wild cards. So I always bet 8 golfers. So it looks like obviously if that parlay hits, then the Berger will be one of my 2 wild cards. And then I'll have to wait and see on everybody else. But I'm looking hard at Lowry. Like I said, a lot of the guys Horschel is another one that I'm looking really hard at. I'll probably be in my DraftKings lineup. It's just one of those weeks where it's a good vibes week. Because like we talked about before the show, I mean, I could star 17 guys and 14 of them will miss the cut because it's just one of those weeks. You either have to be afraid to be on all the chalk or afraid to be off all the chalk, or not be afraid to be off all the chalk, because it's just one of those weeks where some chalky golfer is going to miss the cut. It just happens every year. So you just got to hope that it's not the one that you pick.
Gotcha. Real quick before I get to you, Steve, I will say this about Berger and Lowry. I got this stat. More for Kyle and Justin because his name was on it. But since 2020, the 5 golfers with the lowest scoring average on the Florida swing, this 4-week stretch, the lowest scoring average on the Florida swing, Shane Lowry, 69.86. Scheffler's second. Berger's the 3rd lowest scoring average since 2020 in this range. Now, they've all played different amounts of tournaments, but Berger has a 70.25 average score. Justin Thomas is 4th. Somehow, Justin is the 5th lowest scorer, and he's not even on the tour anymore during the Florida swing. That was my Kyle stat for the week for the statistician. But yeah, anyway, that didn't really work out. So, Steven, you got any bets this week that you placed?
Yeah, I got Sepp 25-1, Denny 35-1, Minwoo, Lee 35-1, Brian Harmon 55-1, and Eric Cole 80-1.
I kind of feel like Minwoo Lee is Steven's Aaron Rye to me. Like if there was an analogy there, I kind of feel like he bets Minwoo Lee a lot. So
I like Minwoo too.
Jason, what do you got? What do you got on the board, Jason, this week?
I just have 4. I might add 1 or 2 more, but I have 4 right now. I have Straka at 25-1. I have Novak at 55-1, Gerard at 75-1, and Knapp at 90.
Gotcha. Rashad, I mean, I know you got a new Twitter page, and I know you're putting out all kinds of sports betting content on a daily basis. Where can they find you? And do you have any other bets you got going on tonight? I mean, it's not even 7 o'clock. There's time to get that, that West Coast lacrosse high school game betting, right now.
Yeah, no, I didn't dive into that deep into the board today. Yeah, but you can find me at 4 Right Plays. My original Twitter got hacked in October and I got locked out of it, so I had to start over. So I think I have like 13 followers that aren't you guys.
I'm one of them. You know what? No offense. When you first started that, you cost me a lot of money because you had a really cold start, and I was tailing every one of your bets for like a week.
And that was I had a really bad stretch in January from through divisional week, and then I kind of built it back, and now I'm kind of splitting every week now. But I said this year that I was going to start focusing a little bit more in the betting space and a little less on DFS, just to see if I had a little bit more success with it. So it's been a work in progress, but we're gonna stick with it and just see what happens with it. So if it works out, then I'll funnel that money back into DraftKings and lose more money on golf and football. But I kind of needed a mental break from the labbing of DFS, and all it takes is one rough DFS year for you to kind of wonder, why am I still doing all this? So
it's been like 3 straight bad years for me, and I still haven't quit.
It's not, but you don't quit. You just say, okay, maybe I'm gonna do it for fun instead of trying to worry about how much money I make or how much money I lose. I'm just gonna play. So I've been playing $1 entries, and then I play you guys' event, and that's enough for me right now. And then
you too.
Once we get to football season, I'll probably pick it back up a little more.
I had 3 lineups total last week. The event that I created, and the $1 and the $5 single entry, and that was it that last week.
Yeah,
that's all I put out there because I'm struggling. I do it more for the content than anything else. Steven, Jason, what do you guys got going on? Anything else you want to say, do, anything here?
Nah, just make sure everyone gets into that contest, share it out. There's 20 spots.
Yep.
I think one week we had 8
or 9 the first week, only 6 last week. Yeah, I'm going to give it like 3 more weeks, and if it doesn't take off, then I'm going to stop that $3 that I'm donating to somebody else every single week.
Start putting in other lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, anything before we wrap this up? I know your Lions have nothing exciting to give you. The Pistons have nothing exciting to give you.
7 straight for the Pistons, first off.
Michigan Madness right around the corner.
No, we might have a season where all 4 Detroit teams make the playoffs, which would be phenomenal. No,
we've been there, done that plenty of times in Philly. So
if you're not following
the Christmas tree back up,
follow Rashad on Twitter. That's my advice to you. The college baseball thing really got me for the bet for the parlay. And
I know
Jason.
You know what today is, Jason? Right?
The what?
10 months till Christmas Day, so you better get that tree up.
Sensitive subject right now.
He just shrink wrapped it and just threw it in the eye. Didn't even really put it away.
If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. The STT Sports Network. I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, as the race to 500 subscribers is on, almost there. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching on replay, you have any questions, drop them. I will respond to them. If you ask us any questions on the Fairway to Heaven Twitter page, we will respond to them as well. But for Jason, for Steven, our special guest, Rashad, I think that's time to wrap it up tonight. Everybody have a great week. Make some money. And bubbles up to y'all. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, pop, pop.